Hi, my name is Katie Creekmore. I'm the Business Development Manager here at Creekmore Marketing, and welcome to our very first Creekside Chat. This is going to be a monthly webinar where we discuss all pressing questions that business owners have about digital marketing. So starting out, we're going to be talking with Emma. She's the head of our graphic design department. Thank you so much for being here, Emma. Do you mind just telling us a little bit about yourself and your prior experience to Creekmore?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. So my name is Emma Preston, and I'm the head of the graphic design department here at Creekmore Marketing. Over the past 5 years, I've been able to help mom and pops, startup businesses, and even multinational corporations with their logos and rebranding. Before this, I was actually in the promotional products industry where I worked with companies like Pepsi, Ferrari, and the Super Bowl. So really lucky to get to work on those big campaigns. And my dad is actually an art director and my mom is a set stylist. So I'd like to think that this has kind of always been in my blood.
It definitely is. And we are so lucky to have you on our team. But jumping right in, can you explain to our viewers what branding is and why it's essential to businesses?
Yeah, so let's actually break down the terminology first between brand and branding. So branding is actually going to be the process through which you want to set a really solid foundation and implement things through your strategy, whereas your brand is going to be how other people perceive you. And why this is really important is because business owners and consumers now expect great branding, almost kind of like how they expect a business to have a website. And at this point, if you don't have great branding or a great website, then it says a lot more about your business than if you do.
Okay, so as a business owner, where would I start?
That's a great question. So there's kind of two schools of thought. So the first is visual and the second is strategy that I kind of touched on. So your visual, that's probably a new business that's starting out. They really want to get off the ground running and they think, oh, I need a logo. I need a lot of branding elements right now in order to jumpstart, right? But unfortunately, a pitfall of this is probably that you're designing something that's really trendy at the moment. Or maybe you're using a professional logo and branding kit that's just going to get you through at the moment, right? Whereas if you start off with that second school of thought, which is your strategy, you're actually designing and implementing and nailing down things like your mission statement, your brand voice, your color palette, your typography. And these are going to be all based on who you are at the core of your business. And really, the core of your business should never change, right? So as you continue to move forward and grow as a business and you need to make little tweaks here and there to the visuals, your strategy is always going to remain the same. So really, that's going to be the difference between working with a professional like us here at Creekmore and then working with somebody that doesn't have strategy in mind, is that we're going to get to know you and your business and find out who you are at your core and then make sure that we're designing all of our visuals around that strategy.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I actually was talking to a client the other day and they asked, why can't I just create this on Canva? What are your thoughts on that?
So Canva is a great tool. I don't want to knock it by any means, but it's just that. It's just a tool. So if you think about a professional carpenter, they have a multitude of tools at their disposal and they know which ones to pick and choose from in order to make a beautiful, sturdy, timeless table, for instance, right? Whereas those same kind of tools in the hands of a novice or even a hobbyist, it's going to produce a lot different of an end result. So as a professional designer, I know whenever I can utilize Canva for a client, but it's not always going to be my go-to tool. It has some downsides, just like any other tool. But again, whenever you work with Creekmore, we know exactly which tools to utilize and implement in order to get you the best results.
It's funny, I was actually speaking with a client the other day who had created a logo on Canva about 5 years ago. And I asked him, do you even still like your logo? Because times have changed.
This is something that comes across my desk all the time. Rebranding is really difficult for businesses for a couple of reasons. At the time, they may have designed a really trendy logo, and obviously trends change, so it may be out of date or out of style now. The other thing is that it can get really costly. You know, those business cards are not cheap. And really, when we want to rebrand for a business, we want to make sure that we do it the first time, and we want to save time and save cost incurred.
Once I get a logo, does that mean I'm done for life?
Oh, definitely not. So you can think about the example of Pepsi. They got their first logo done in 1898. So obviously they're not still using their same logo from the 1800s. But they have really, really solid foundations in terms of what their brand is and who they are at their core. So over the past couple decades, they have been able to take a couple through lines like their color palette and the way that they incorporate movement into their logo and just make these subtle changes and subtle updates as it kind of takes them through the decades. So the reason they were able to do so many little refreshes is because they were built on a strong strategic foundation.
So what are the common mistakes businesses make when creating their logo or creating their brand identity?
The first I would say is designing for the short term instead of that long-term success. You can get a logo from anybody, but you can only get great branding from a professional. The other is that the brands are designing for what they think the consumer wants instead of designing something that's actually true to who they are as a business.
Emma, you've given us so much to think about today. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh yeah, it was great to be here.
And thank you, viewers, for taking the time to watch our very first Creekside Chat. We will be back next month to talk about more pressing questions that you may have about digital marketing services. But if you have any current questions for Emma, you can leave a question or a comment or a message below for her or anybody else on our digital marketing team. Thank you again for watching, and from everyone at Creekmore Marketing.